For people who don't know you, who don't follow you on Twitter, don't know anything about you, do you want to maybe provide a brief background about yourself?
Sure. My name is Mike Futia. I'm the founder of Stupid Simple SEO, which is, an SEO blog, although I don't really blog on my site, and training program, specifically designed to help bloggers. We were talking about this earlier. Mom bloggers, recipe bloggers, lifestyle bloggers is kind of my niche, to help them grow their traffic with SEO. And I started that, kind of course business 4 years ago or so. But I've been building niche websites, way back in the Pat Flynn era. That's probably
Mm,
almost 10 years now. And we can talk about that. I like to give credit to Pat. Because that's how I got my start, was following his niche site Duel. So I've been building niche sites. I've built several to over $10,000 per month. I've sold a few for a few six figures, and I've also had my share of failures as well, which I think we can talk about as well, because not everyone likes to talk about sites that actually don't end up working out. But anyway, I've been building niche sites for almost 10 years. I've been doing this SEO, business for about 4 years now as well.
nice. It's interesting. You obviously mentioned the mum bloggers and recipes. I can't imagine getting into that recipe niche. It's
Recipe, I think,
crazy.
it's probably the most, it's got the highest upside, I think, of any niche
Mm,
out there, probably, in my opinion, but it's also the most competitive as well, like brutally competitive. But it's amazing how many recipe sites are out there that are hundreds of thousand pages plus per month, right? It's just that, people are interested in recipes, obviously, but it's
mm.
also incredibly, incredibly difficult, just because of the competition, obviously. I've
Yeah, you
never
know
done a
what's
recipe site myself.
in-
Some of my students have.
Yeah. You know what's interesting as well? Recently, I've been looking for various recipes for whatever to cook, and like the first 4 or 5 pages on Google are all the same recipe.
Yeah,
How? Why?
it's hard to differentiate. And part of it is Google looking for the
Yeah, exactly.
same, right, and that's those, surfer SEO programs. Do we need to hit all of the same terms? And then recently there was an article, I think it was on the animals blog, that talked about, um trying to stand out with, they called it information gain. I don't know if you saw that article, creating new, not necessarily new
Mm,
content, but a new angle on the content to help you stand out in Google, right? Because does Google
yeah.
want to rank 10 articles that are literally the same thing? Or are they looking for a new perspective, like a new take on it? But you're right, with the recipe sites, I just hit that jump to recipe button. I'm grateful for that at the
Yeah.
top. And it takes you right down to the ingredients and right down to the steps. I don't envy being a recipe blogger, but at the same time, if you're at the top of the recipe game, you're making, I would say, six figures per month, probably just on ads. So they have
Yeah,
it pretty good. Well,
nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned about that some of those new things. I think the Google developer like systems or guidelines that came out recently where they spelled out a few things. Obviously that thing you mentioned there with kind of almost they get it towards almost like news sites and like product reviews with having unique a unique perspective or at least some new kind of information that would essentially help you rank better rather than just repurposing whatever's on the front page. Have you gone through a lot of those systems or
I
guidelines at
saw
all?
I saw Marie Haynes tweeting about it. Was that yesterday or maybe Monday? I
Yeah.
haven't really dove into it. But that's definitely where it seems Google is trending, right? Which is, we don't want
Mm.
just regurgitated information. We want,
Yeah.
I think product reviews is the best, most obvious example, because, not even way back when, up until a year or maybe a few years ago, it was easy to rank, right? And that's how I got my start, was doing those top 10 product review roundups, right? I had a site in the vacuum niche, right? The best
Yeah.
vacuums for pet hair, the best vacuums for hardwood floors. And you could write a review of a vacuum
Yeah.
that obviously you've never used the vacuum, let alone seen it, let alone know, but you just, regurgitate the Amazon description, do a 10 product roundup, and you could rank with no problem. Um, then things became slightly more competitive because, this niche game or affiliate site game has become more popular, but you were still going head to head with the review roundup, right? No one's actually touching the products. Now, you know, I don't know. Do you have to have your hands on the products? You'll still see search results where people are not using the product and they're still ranking
Yeah.
high, but Google is clearly trending in a direction where, and it makes sense, right? Think about it from their perspective, or rather from the user perspective. You want to see that someone has used this USB microphone, right? That they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that changes some, the approach for some niche sites that are reviewing products, right? Some people can think of it like an opportunity to put in the
Yeah.
work to actually get your hands on the products, right? Like, because 95% of the people will not do that work. So you can think of it that way. This is an opportunity to stand out, but you have to do the
Yeah.
work. I think a lot of people are still going to default to trying to be a little more clever, a little more details, maybe getting pictures somehow, but not actually handling the products. But we'll see how smart Google can get with, because you still see, you Google any best keyword, you're bound to see plenty of sites ranking in the top 5 that
Yeah.
have not actually used the product. I think part of that is Google still has to rank somebody. And if nobody has used the product, then you still have a chance to rank without using it. But again, it could be looked at as an opportunity to kind
Yeah.
of separate yourself from the pack in your niche if you are willing.